I would come skate and stay at his house. So I was all stoked because we had like really formed a really tight friendship at a young age.
Sure.
So I'm like, dude, come back to Baltimore, skate with me and my buddies, and like see my house. And I'm all excited to bring him back. Ape and Phil, like, she makes Rice Krispie treats. Phil films us skating, like a really fucking all-American home.
Right.
And I bring him back all excited to show mine, and my drunken father is sitting at the table just like playing knife games with his hand. He's like, who the fuck are you? And he's like, I'm Bam. Like, oh man, I was so embarrassed.
Last time, well, I drove Novak to Baltimore, and we're like in the ghetto, pull up to a red light.
Oh,
fuck. See that fucker over there in the wheelchair? I'm like, yeah. He's like, that's my father. He rolls down the window. Hey, Dad. Fuck you. I'm like, oh man, his dad's the only person like in the history that inherits $1 million beautiful home from his parents who passed away, and now he's in this $1 million home in Baltimore and gets all paranoid on crack, winds up lighting the house on fire.
First he calls the police on himself. He calls the police on himself. The police show up. It's snowing outside. And he's like, people are outside. They're trying to break in. They're after me. And they do a perimeter check of the house, and there's no footprints in the snow. So they know that he's like delusional. No one's after him.
Right.
They commit him. They take him for a 72-hour hold, similar to a 5150. And then he gets they let him go. He comes home and picks up where he leaves off, smoking crack. Shit. And this time, instead of fucking calling the police because he don't want to go back to jail for 3 days or this loony bin, he just lights the house on fire.
Holy shit.
Yeah. Yeah, dude.
$1 million home.
Yeah.
Now it's just a flat acre of nothing.
Yeah, literally.
It's just another treetop
casino.
casino.
I just go by and see like all the dreams that could have been.
Well, that's a trip because like Carlos's book that we got right here, the Knockin' Doorz Down book, he talks a lot about that, those attempts at like getting sober and stuff. And then the last time, he kind of was in a psychosis. He was running down the fucking street, like knocking on doors, ironically, like banging on fucking doors.
Speaking of 5150, I had the pleasure to go to the mental institution for 10 days about 2 years ago, and it was the worst time of my life. Like, honestly, I realized that whether you're wrong or right, if you speak up, the more you raise your voice, my buddy Hannafin called me before I was in the mental institution. He's like, Bam, you don't understand. You got to get me out of here. They have my room bugged with microphones. The Russians are after me. They give me water, and they say I wouldn't drink that if I were you. Like, starts banging his head against the wall. He's like, you got to get me out of here. I'm like, Hannafin, the more you do that, the more you're going to stay in there. So there I am listening until I get a straitjacket put on. I'm like, you moron. So once I go there, I have this roommate, and it's this like 7-foot black dude who would just get up at night and just stare at me as I'm sleeping. And I couldn't take it anymore. I didn't get any sleep. On day number 3, I went up to the receptionist or whatever. I'm like, you don't understand. This guy keeps staring at me at night.
Crazy.
So now they're looking at you like you're crazy.
So whether I'm right or wrong, it's like,
you
put
look
volume
insane.
in him, like make him
straitjacket him.
Straitjacket. And so the more you speak up, I just learned how to just keep my mouth shut. But as long as you're in your environment, I guarantee that if you move to Yellowknife, Canada, and start hanging out with Eskimos, you're going to become an Eskimo. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So when you're around all these crazy people who think that they're married to their own shoe and start yelling at the kitchen because it's an asshole, you're going to wind up doing that too. It's going to become normal to you.
The abnormal becomes the normal.
You know what I mean? Yeah. If you hang out in a crack house all the time, you're going to think that it's a casual thing to smoke crack in front of people. Sure. Yeah. When if you wind up in McDonald's or whatever smoking, you're going to get
not the place.
You do that here? Or? Wait a minute, this isn't Crackdonald's. That's 2 blocks down.
But see, that's why so much crazy shit would go on in this house, because literally anything went. I remember one time we had the radio room down there. He had a show, Sirius Satellite Radio, and they set up a whole studio down there. And I had been sniffing cocaine here for God knows how long. And he's like, dude, let's go downstairs and listen to a song in the radio room. And I was convinced he was calling me down there to kill me with this fucking sword.
Because I'm just holding
the
sword, listening to music, and he was wondering when I'm going to use it on him.
I like legit so delusionally paranoid. I thought that he was trying to bait me into the room to kill me. Yeah. I'm like, I never forget. I stood at the top of the stairs. He's at the bottom of the stairs, and he's got this sword in his hand, this big sword. And I'm like, what? Why? What are we going to listen to? Why do we have to do it down there? there's a little AM FM radio right here. He's like, no, the speakers are. And the more he said why we should do it down there, the more I was convinced he was going to kill me in that room. We created that environment here.
Then I opened up the top room just to see, because it's like 4 a.m. I wanted to see who else was up. Nobody's up except Novak on this very pool table with this stripper. And she's trying to do this line of cocaine. He looks up and sees it. He goes, watch this. She leans down to do it, and he's thumping her. He goes, boom, and it all flies everywhere. She's like, she's trying to carve it up again. As soon as she leans down to do it again, boom, it goes everywhere. This went on for like 30 minutes.
And he's just standing there watching.
I'm just up there just dying laughing, man.
So when I hear people in AA meetings say, my worst day sober is better than my best day getting high, I'm like, you had a sad life, man. Well, I had some of the best times of my life partying.
Well, the first time I got sent to rehab was because my mom and wife really wanted me to. I was like 28 years old or something, and I'm at Karen and Redding, and like I'm listening to this lady talk. She's like, first of all, there's nothing good that could come from alcohol. It's a fact, and we all know that. I'm like, tell that to the threesome I had last night, and tell that to the 2 Lamborghinis in my driveway. You know, like, and she didn't know what to say about this because, like, at the time, I mean, Jackass, we were sponsored by Miller High Life. Like, you know, like we got drunk and get the beer muscles to do stupid shit. I mean, now it's not the case.
I think we might have to cut this show in just such a way where we start off talking about how it's such a party in the beginning, and then at the end, it's like dry rubber bands.
We're gonna get to it. We're gonna get
when it's your college years and you're having fun with your friends, it's a nice party time. But at 40, it's not cool anymore.
It becomes pathetic.
It becomes really pathetic.
It becomes really pathetic to chase the chicks, the 3-ways.
Oh my God!
I have father at 2. The irresponsibility that took place there, but it's kind of funny to share my radio story at a bar. Friends having trouble getting set up with their band and everything. They go kill time. They had to go buy a new tube for an amp. I'm up there drinking Jack and Coke, telling jokes. Guy goes, "You're funny. You want to work in radio?" I go, "You want to buy me a fucking Jack and Coke?" Bam. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so it is weird how these things, you kind of get into it in the fun. And I've interviewed every guy from Motley Crue, my favorite band of all time, and Gene Simmons, you know, and all this shit. And it's like, wow, you had all this stuff. But yeah, we get to that point where it's like, God, it'd be really fucking sad to go pick up on 22-year-olds at this point and be like, all right, want to come back to my house, but you got to leave by 10 because the sitter's bringing my kids at that point. I got to sober. It's just like,
could you imagine going to like day drink right now, like in Kildare's?
Dude,
how sad that would be.
It would. I can't even count the amount of times because Jake's Bar is the only bar that opens up at 7 in the morning.
We've opened that joint so many times.
We opened up that joint. There's no way on earth that I would ever.
Could you imagine that?
No, I couldn't.
And ironically, the only person here that could probably do that is this guy because he is a normie, like we talked about. He had his stint with cocaine,
totally.
but now
Cocaine
he's like,
my thing,
oh, whatever.
Yeah.
Whereas like with us, it would be like, no, you wouldn't have day drinking because it would turn into 5 days later.
Literally.
You know, the boss man, are you coming back from Philadelphia? It's like, wait,
well, that's
what?
the crazy thing. Like, he was the boss man. So, like, he liked to party as much as we did. So, I was like, yeah, let's party.
Yeah. Right.
There was really no fucking guidelines to it.
Yeah.
So, like, in yours with painkillers and all that kind of shit too, right, Brandon?
Yeah, him and I totally differ when it comes to partying. Like, we
Right.
both love alcohol and cocaine, but I like to go downtown big time, where he likes to, like, go uptown.
Right. Yeah. So, like, when you would do stunts and shit and get just fucking wrecked going to the hospital, you probably weren't mad at it, right?
I was
Because they
stoked.
manned you
Like,
up, yeah.
he would be like, "Do you want to do this?" And I'm like, "Fuck yeah," because like
it's a two-way road that's it's gonna win for him. If he lands the trick, yay.
Great.
If he gets a broken ankle, yay, because he goes to the hospital to get more
Gets
painkillers.
more meds.
and then
yeah.
there I'm actually allowed to now take the pills because like before he'd be like, all right, no pills and no heroin, no downers, because you fall asleep in mid-conversation, you end up stealing my cars, my wallets, my credit cards.
Fuck.
Cocaine's socially acceptable, alcohol's
Right.
cool because like we're all doing it.
Yeah.
So I'm like, yeah, sign me up to anything. I break the bones, I get paid on top of it, awesome street creds will get me some pussy later on down the line.
Right.
I get paid to do it, and then you take me to the hospital, and I get like a legal script from a real doctor, and now like him and everyone else is okay that I'm eating pills.
Yeah.
So it's a fucking win-win.
Yeah.
And it's better than me fucking letting men blow me in Baltimore, like for a bag of heroin. I'd much prefer to bang a stripper out on this pool table while she spills cocaine.
Or drop into a half pipe on a toilet.
Yeah, and break both my ankles and like legally be allowed to get high and have approval from my fucking best friends.
Right.
Bring it on.
Yeah, but it shows that weird dichotomy too, because it's kind of, bam, I can relate to you, like being a kid. Like for me, believe it or not, I was actually short and skinny at one point, and nobody paid attention to me until I did something like stupid or made the joke, was the class clown or whatever else it is, you know. And as a shy kid that didn't talk at home, but oddly, you know, like mom would get the call from school, Jason's been talking out of class. My son? Are you sure? Then I get home, I don't know what they're talking about, Mom. I'm going to go to my room.
Yeah.
Because I just didn't feel like I fit in. Yeah. But until like when I hit that run in my, you know,
it's funny,
late teens, early 20s, and it was like that connectivity. But it was false.
I recently came to the realization that like skateboarding did for me at a young age what drugs and alcohol did for me at a later age, right? Like you give me that skateboard at the age of 7 and put me in a room with the world's prettiest models. I'll not only believe that they're waiting for me, but I'll think that they're dying to marry me, right? Like then later on, drugs and alcohol produce that same effect for me, right? Where I think, I don't walk into a room 20 minutes late thinking that everyone's staring at me. I think that everyone's waiting for me. Right. You know, it's just weird how that dichotomy and that psychic change takes place.
Yeah.
That I couldn't understand.
Well, and it's that control that, I mean, everybody has it with ego, but with addiction, that gets like way the fuck out of control. You know, I mean, think about it now, like you know, the age, I'm over 40 as well. It's like the shit I went and splurged on with money or whatever. It's like, hey, no fucking way. I got 2 kids that might want to go to like college or do
the
something.
Lambo? You went and bought the Lambo?
Yeah.
He fucking went and bought, well, this is his first of 2 Lambos, but he's buying the Lambo. We go in and he wants it purple, right, with these heartograms on it.
Which was dope.
So what he gets off on is like, and this is when we were partying, he would dress up like a complete pile of shit, and he goes in and they won't even deal with him. But then finally when they do come over, because like they just have to address this homeless guy in the showroom, he's like, yeah, I want this, I want it purple, and I want heartograms. And like he would get off on not asking to save $1. You know what I mean? Like full price. And then this hot like chick from FC Kerbeck has to like, these models they hire to bring you water or soda or a beer, comes in, and I'm like trying to fuck her while he's trying to negotiate this. Not even negotiate the deal, he's just doing the paperwork.
You did.
I did. but at first the guy's like, oh, she can't be in here. And I'm like, if she can't be in here, we're not buying the car. I'm buying the $400,000 car, Bams. Basically saying. And I'm like, no, she doesn't come, we're not buying the car. Lo and behold, she comes in, she comes back here the night he buys the car. I fucking get man, and I can't, my won't get hard. I can't. But she comes back the second night and I actually executed it. But he didn't ask for $1 off was the point of that story.
Yeah.
Like,
well, but the whole story is all ego.
Yeah.
Like the whole thing, it's like
crazy. Once
only
you have a kid, everything changes. It's like, whoa, I can't blow money like that anymore. I gotta have a saved up bank account for his future. What happens? Man, I really got to start saving money now. Like I never thought how much money I would have in 10 years from now. It didn't apply to me, but now it really affects me. And like having Phoenix actually saved Nikki's life because she had a drug problem, and you know once Phoenix happened, she wants nothing to do with anything anymore.
That's awesome.
Right. And it's kind of crazy how people have that click. Like Novak's mom couldn't take it anymore to the point where she got down on her hands and knees and prayed, "Dear God, please kill him, cure him, or kill me, because I can't take it anymore." And like, you know, it's just hard to have me to establish what is my rock bottom, because most people's rock bottom is being left with nothing.
Yeah.
No friends, no money, nowhere to go.
Right.
You know, there's always going to be somewhere to go, you know, so it's just hard for me to establish a rock bottom.